I'll never forget the sound of their laughter, because it wasn't strangers laughing, it was my own family. I was just standing by the table at the garden party, pouring myself a glass of water, trying to stay out of the way like I always did. Everyone was dressed like they were auditioning for some rich people's soap opera. Pastels, pearls, fake smiles. I wasn't trying to fit in. I knew I didn't. Then I felt it. A shove. Hard. From behind. Before I could even process what was happening, I was airborne. My body hit cold water and everything went silent underwater for a second. Like the whole world muted. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. When I came up, gasping, hair stuck to my face, dress soaked, I looked around, and there she was, my stepmother, Veronica, holding her wine glass and smiling like she'd just scored a victory. She tilted her head, eyes scanning me like I was something rotting in the sun. "That's where trash belongs," she said. And everyone, my aunts, my cousins, even a few family friends, laughed. Phones were out, people were recording. No one did a damn thing. I remember standing there, waist deep in that stupid fountain in my pale blue dress, water dripping down my arms, thinking, this is it. This is the moment they break me. But what none of them knew, what not a single one of those cowards realized, was that the next 10 seconds would change everything. Because I heard it then. Tires screeching. A black car, sleek, silent like a threat, rolled into the gravel driveway. The laughter died immediately. The door opened, and my grandfather stepped out. Now, let me tell you something about my grandpa, Leonard Hayes. He's not the kind of man who shows up unless it matters. And he never, ever, raises his voice unless he's about to destroy someone. But when he saw me standing in that fountain, humiliated, freezing, mascara probably halfway down my face, he yelled, "Who touched my air?" The crowd went dead quiet. Grandpa stormed straight through the garden party like Moses through the Red Sea. No hellos, no explanations, just fury in a tailored gray suit. He stepped into the fountain with me, shoes soaking, didn't care, grabbed my hand and helped me out like I was royalty, like I was his. He turned to the crowd and didn't even blink. "Who pushed her?" No one answered. Of course they didn't. Cowards always fall silent when power walks into the room. Veronica tried to laugh it off. "Leonard, darling, it was a joke. He cut her off so sharp it was like a slap. "You think it's funny to push my granddaughter into a fountain in front of these parasites?" I didn't say a word. I was still shaking, but not from the cold. Anymore, from adrenaline. And then he said it. The words that changed everything. "Effective this morning, Eleanor Hayes is the sole heir to the Hayes estate. Every property, every account, every stock, every share belongs to her. Not you, not your children, not anyone in this godforsaken circle of plastic and poison." Someone dropped a glass. I swear I heard it shatter like a punctuation mark. He looked back at me, eyes fierce but gentle. "You don't belong here. You belong home. With me. Let's go." And that was it. I walked past the people who called me invisible, past the ones who smirked behind champagne glasses, past Veronica, who didn't look so powerful anymore, and in that moment, soaked dress and all, I had never stood taller in my life. We didn't say a word in the car, not until the gates of the estate were far behind us and the world around us looked nothing like that fake garden party. Just city lights, speed, and silence, except for my heartbeat, still thudding like a drum in my chest. Grandpa didn't look at me right away. He just reached over, grabbed a thick towel from the back seat. He'd brought one, and draped it over my shoulders. "Why didn't you call me sooner?" he asked, quiet but heavy. I swallowed. "I didn't want to bother you. I figured I'd just survive it." He finally turned his eyes on me. And I mean, looked. Like he saw me. Not just as some fragile girl with dripping sleeves, but as something more. "You're not supposed to survive your family," he said. "You're supposed to belong to them." I looked out the window. I never did. Number you will. We pulled into a different estate. Not the Langston one, not the place where Veronica sat like a queen at a throne that never belonged to her. This place was ours. My grandfather's real home, the Hayes home, clean marble, real respect. I hadn't been here in years, not since my dad remarried and slowly shut me out like I was some awkward reminder of his past. Inside, everything was exactly as I remembered, except this time, I wasn't a visitor. I was home. But Grandpa didn't stop there. He led me straight to his office, opened a locked drawer, and pulled out a thick envelope. Legal papers, stamped, sealed. "You see this?" he said, laying them out like cards in a game. "You're not just my heir. I already transferred majority control of the Hayes Foundation to you. Veronica didn't know. None of them did." My head spun. "Why? Why would you do that without telling anyone?" He smirked. "Because I wanted to see how they treated you when they thought you were powerless." And that's when I realized this wasn't a coincidence. He knew. He'd been watching. "They laughed at you," he said, voice low, "mocked you, filmed you. Every single one of them just lost access to everything they were leeching from this family. Veronica's credit card? Canceled. Her charity? Shut down. Her friends? About to find out how fast her invitations dry up." I stared at him. "You planned this." He looked me dead in the eye. "Number they planned this. I just waited long enough for them to show me who they really were." And in that moment, I felt something shift inside me. I'd spent years trying to keep peace, trying to stay out of the way, smiling when I was insulted, going quiet when I was shoved. But something was different now. I wasn't trying to survive anymore. I was returning. And I wasn't going to be quiet when I did. 2 days later, I walked through the gates of the Langston estate again. But not as the stepdaughter who stayed quiet. Not as the girl dripping wet in a soaked blue dress. This time, I was in control. Every step I took, they'd feel it. Because now, every flower, every chandelier, every polished fork they held was mine. I wore black. Not because I was mourning anything, but because I knew they'd look at me and wonder if I'd come to bury them. As soon as I stepped out of the car, my car now, gifted by Grandpa and registered in my name, the staff outside the entrance shifted. Eyes widened. A few of them, the same ones who had watched me fall into that fountain like I was a sideshow, quickly looked away. But one of them, a maid named Rosa, she nodded at me. Subtle. Grateful. She knew. Inside, it was some kind of brunch event, the kind Veronica loved hosting to prove she belonged in circles she'd never earn. They were all there. Veronica, my dad, a bunch of socialites with nothing better to do than whisper and sip from tiny glasses. When I walked into the room, everything stopped. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Eyes snapped to me. Veronica stood up so fast her chair screeched. "What are you doing here?" I didn't flinch. "I live here," I said flatly. "Or didn't you hear? The trust is mine now." Someone coughed in the silence. My dad looked up from his seat, face pale. "Eleanor, let's not cause a scene. You caused the scene when you watched your wife shove your daughter into a fountain and laughed," I said, voice clear. "I'm just following up." I could see it. The panic settling into Veronica's face, the dawning realization in Dad's eyes. the quiet murmurs starting from the corners of the room like storm clouds gathering. I walked to the head of the table where Veronica had once seated herself like royalty and stood behind her now vacant chair. "I'm not here to take anything from you," I said. "I'm here to clean up what you ruined." Veronica scoffed, her voice shaking. "You think having a few documents makes you powerful?" "No," I said. "What makes me powerful is that you thought I was nothing, and now I own the house you're standing in." I laid a stack of folders on the table. "These are the financial audits of the foundation for the last 3 years. You've been funding your lifestyle through charity money. That's a felony, by the way." Gasps. One woman actually choked on her mimosa. Veronica lunged forward, voice rising. "You can't prove any of that." "Actually," I smiled, "we can. My grandfather hired forensic accountants before he signed over the estate. It's all here." "And your access to the Hayes name?" "Ends today." The room exploded into whispers. I turned to my dad. "You stood by. You let her treat me like dirt because it was easier than standing up for me. So don't ask me to save you now." He didn't say anything. Couldn't. Just looked down, ashamed. Finally, I took a breath and stepped back. "None of this is revenge," I said. "This is called restoration. I'm not getting even. I'm taking back what was always mine." And as I walked out, I heard someone at the table whisper, "She's not the same girl anymore." Damn right I'm not. The headlines came first. "Heiress returns. Eleanor Hayes takes over family empire in surprise move." From outcast to powerhouse, the girl in the fountain now runs the estate. I didn't ask for the attention, but it came anyway. And suddenly, everyone who once looked through me now wanted to look at me. Invitations, flattery, people pretending they always believed in me. It was laughable and exhausting, so I did what needed to be done. I went room by room, account by account, and started clearing out the rot. The fake friends, the bleeding expenses, the consultants making 6 figures to do nothing but nod at my stepmother's ideas. Gone. Even the house staff felt it. Some were angry, some were relieved. I wasn't cruel, I was fair. But I didn't hesitate anymore. Then came the night I found out. It started with an email, an anonymous tip. I almost ignored it. But something made me click. And there it was. Invoices, private transfers, old emails between Veronica and my cousin Natalie. Natalie, my only friend at those family events. The one person who used to sneak me snacks under the table. The girl who once whispered, "You don't deserve the way they treat you." Turns out she'd been in on it all along. She was helping Veronica move money behind the foundation's back. She was the one leaking my location to the press. And she was the one who filmed the fountain incident and sent it to a tabloid for 10 grand. I sat there in the study for a long time, the fire crackling, the wind outside tapping gently at the glass like it didn't know my whole world had tilted again. When I called her, she actually answered like nothing was wrong. "Ellie. Oh my God, are you okay? I've been meaning to call." "Stop." She went quiet. "I know it was you," I said. More silence. Then she laughed. Software guilty. Cold. "Look, I didn't mean for it to go that far, okay? It was just supposed to be a laugh. You were always so quiet, so weird. No one thought you'd ever fight back. You sold me out for $10,000, Natalie." She didn't deny it. "You're not mad," she said. "You're just finally learning how the world works." That sentence hit harder than Veronica's shove, deeper than my dad's silence. Because that was the moment I realized it wasn't just about me. This family was poisoned from the root, and I was the only one willing to cut the damn tree down. So I ended the call. And the next morning, I froze her accounts, cut off her inheritance, publicly released a statement about the misuse of funds, No names, just facts. But she knew. They all knew. And for the first time, they were the ones scared to open their doors. Weeks passed. The Langston estate was quiet now. No garden parties, no paparazzi, no staged laughter echoing off the fountains. Veronica left, quietly, no apology, just a note saying she was rebuilding her image somewhere that appreciates class. My father stayed in the guest house, alone. We barely spoke. And as for Natalie, I heard she tried to throw a rebranding brunch for herself. Only 2 people showed up, and one of them was the caterer. Funny how quickly people scatter when the spotlight shifts. But none of that mattered anymore. Not to me. Because I wasn't chasing revenge now. I was building something real. I turned the estate's East Wing into a nonprofit office, launched scholarships for girls from broken homes who were told they didn't belong at the table, hired young women who were brushed aside, just like I was. The headlines changed too. Eleanor Hayes funds programs for unseen youths. From humiliation to hope, heiress makes legacy out of pain. I didn't do it for the press. I did it because I knew what it felt like to be invisible. And I swore no girl like me would feel that way again if I could help it. Then came the family's annual winter gathering. I wasn't going to go at first. I had nothing to prove. But Grandpa insisted. Sometimes, he said, you don't go to make a point. You go so they see who survived. So I went. Same estate, same room, same long table lined with cold faces and fake smiles. Except this time, I walked in through the front doors. No hesitation, wearing a sharp white blazer and heels that clicked like warning bells across the marble. The same people who once laughed when I fell into a fountain now stood when I entered the room. No one told them to. They just did. I walked to the head of the table, Veronica's old seat, and I sat. Silence stretched. Then I looked around. Slowly, calmly. No anger in my voice. No fire. Just truth. You tried to break me, I said, because you thought I was alone, but I wasn't. I had one person who believed in me, my grandfather, and that was enough. I saw my father look down again. Good. I continued. You taught me something. Not about hate, about power. And I've used it to build things you could never imagine. Not palaces. People. No one spoke. No one moved. I looked right at Natalie, seated at the far end, face pale. Some of you lost money. Some of you lost invitations. But me? I lost illusions. And I've never felt freer. And then I stood, because I wasn't meant to stay in that room. I was meant to outgrow it. As I walked away, I heard one of my aunts whisper to the woman beside her, "She's not the girl we used to mock." And the woman replied, "She's the woman we all wish we could be."